factory where they manufactured furniture and wagons, and I worked with them about a year. During that time, Charles Breathitt, who became my future husband, was working in the same company in the woodworking department. And that was a little romance on the side. But I was in the romantic age. But after I had been with that company about a year, my brother Forrest wrote to me from Florida, wanted me to come and work in an office with him where he was associated with two men in the real estate business. It was right at the tail end of the Florida boom, and of course they hoped that they were going to make a killing. However, it was just about to burst, and it did. But I worked with that company for about a year.
Where was that?
In Daytona. At that time, Irene was working, all of us were there in Florida. Your father was in the automobile paint business job with Charlie. And Bob was in insurance. And I met a man, I'm getting a little hoarse. I met a man a lawyer from Chicago who had had a nervous breakdown and had come to Florida to recuperate. After he began to feel well again, he started work and got, some of his clients were in these failing real estate developments. And he asked me if I would do some special work for him, which I did. And after about a year, he moved his family down there on the ocean, bought a big house. He had a wife and 5 children, and they moved down there. And then he decided to go to New York and open an office. And he asked if I would go as his private secretary. Well, my parents didn't go for that very well, but they finally consented after he reassured them that he would see that I got situated properly and he would father me.
Before you go into that, I think that you had told me about making some money with a girlfriend, and you
While
took
I was
this
working
trip.
for my brother Forrest in a development called Rockefeller Heights, right back of the Rockefeller estate there in Ormond, where John D. himself came every winter and played golf on the golf course. We lived right behind his house. And my girlfriend and I bought a lot in that subdivision that was being developed by the office where we both worked. And I think it was not a very expensive lot. They weren't very expensive those days. We put a down payment on it, less than $100 a piece, I'm sure, and agreed to pay it over a period of 18 months. But about that time I took a vacation and went to Hopkinsville. By the time I got back, the lot had been sold, and we had made about a few $1,000s a piece profit on it. So we decided we would take a trip. So with Margaret, my girlfriend, and her mother, we went east and had a marvelous, marvelous trip. We went to Washington, where we toured the city, did all the sights, and I met Calvin Coolidge, incidentally. And then we went to Boston. I had a friend who was at MIT there, and he and his friends at MIT took us to fraternity dance there in Boston and to shows. Then we went on to Woonsocket, Rhode Island, where Margaret and her mother had relatives, and they wined us and dined us. And then we came back, having spent all of that profit we had, that my older brother would give me to spend.
How about, did
he-
you not go to New York?
Huh?
Didn't you go to New York?
Yeah, didn't I say
No,
New
you
York?
didn't tell us about New
Oh,
York.
yeah, New York, we saw all the shows, and it was such fun. Well, when Mr. Excelson, the lawyer from Chicago, asked me to go to New York as his secretary, I wouldn't have been afraid to go to New York because I'd been there.
Didn't you meet someone very special in New York?
Oh, yeah, I did. And the funny thing about it is that I have just gone to his memorial here. Thomas Wolfe, the famous author of Look Homeward Angel. He was not then a famous author. I'm sure he was writing that book at the time. But he was just teaching in New York University. And this friend of mine in Daytona told him I was coming to New York. He got in touch with me, and he took me out one evening. And we went to a speakeasy, when you had to speak easy through the, identify yourself, you know. And then after that, we drank red wine with our dinner. Whew, I needed a lot of fresh air before he could take me back to my hotel. And he got a taxi and we drove through Central Park with the windows down to give me some air. But I've recently gone to his place here in Asheville, North Carolina, where he was born, and reviewed